Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be making some coconut oil soap. So over the years I have made a lot of different soaps. I've mainly made olive oil soap or lard soap. Both of these two soaps are really easy to make and really easy on the skin. I do have videos for these two soaps, so I'm going to make sure that I link those videos in the description box. If you're interested, please go make sure you take a look. So for coconut oil soap, it is a very easy soap to make, and it is a very soft, very luxurious soap. If you happen to have sensitive skin or somebody in your house has sensitive skin, this soap is wonderful. My daughter has very sensitive skin to soap, but this soap works really well with her skin. All right, so come along with me and I'm going to show you what you have to do for this soap.
So you only need 3 ingredients for this recipe. It is so simple. You're going to start with some coconut oil, some water, and some lye or sodium hydroxide. You will also need a food scale so that you can measure out the exact amount of each ingredient, as it is necessary to get the exact amount to make sure that your soap turns out properly. I also like to make sure that I start this process having absolutely everything I need on the counter so that I can grab things as I need them, because as this process goes along, things start to move fairly quickly, so having things available as you need them is pretty important. So we are starting out here with 840 grams of coconut oil. My daughter loves to help out with projects like this, and she is just a blessing to have to help out. I also find it so important to pass these skills on so that our children know how to look after themselves as well and be more self-sufficient as they grow. Unfortunately, it is still winter here in Canada, so that coconut oil is hard as a brick, so a little hard to get out of the container, but she manages. All right, so we finally have this coconut oil up to 840 grams. Now I'm going to stick this in the microwave and melt it down. It took about 4 minutes to get this melted down all the way. I checked it every minute. If there is still little bits of solid coconut oil, that's fine, because the lye water mix is pretty hot, so it melts it down. So as that is heating, I am going to start working on our lye mixture. So for this, you can maybe do it with an open window or in a ventilated area, because the lye mixture does get pretty heavy. It's also dangerous to work with lye, so if there's any splashing, you're going to want to make sure your pets and your children are out of the room for this, and also wear some safety goggles, possibly even a mask if you have one. So I am measuring out 115 grams of lye, and I've gone over that amount, so I am just taking some in and funneling it back into my container. So again, you're going to want to be stingy and make sure that you're right on those measurements to make sure that your soap comes out properly, because you certainly don't want it to not saponify for you. Also, make sure to tear out all of your bowls before you start measuring. So now I am going to be getting 234 grams of water. I will make sure that I put all of the amounts in the description box for you if you're wanting to make this yourself. Now that you have your lye and your water fully measured out, you are going to add your lye to the water. Never do it the other way. So you add lye to your water. Because if you add water to your lye, this could cause a bit of an explosion. So it's super dangerous. So make sure you always add your lye to your water. So I just stir it up a bit. Your bowl is also going to get very hot. So again, make sure no children, no animals are in this area and you're wearing your safety gear. So I got my coconut oil out. You can see there's still some solid pieces in there. I'm not too worried about that. I am going to be adding my lye mixture in here, and I've got an immersion blender. You can do this by hand. Coconut oil solidifies really quickly, So you could just stir it by hand. For me, I love using my immersion blender. It just makes things so quick and so easy. So if you wanted to add scents to your soap, this is where you would add them. And I would recommend an essential oil scent, like a lavender or a citrus would be wonderful. I've also used cinnamon near Christmas time, or peppermint, which is also really nice. But I am keeping my soaps without scent or without any colors. I like to just keep them as simple as possible these days. So like I said, coconut oil soap saponifies incredibly quickly. So I'm only going to be blending this for a couple of minutes before it's ready to get into the molds. So it's important to have your molds ready and right beside your bowl for when this is ready. This soap is pretty much saponified here. I'm just going to check it with some spoons and make sure. And then I'm going to quickly get it into my soap molds before it saponifies anymore, because it will just keep getting harder and more gloopy, and it's not quite as nice to work with. So you can see that this is nice and thick on my spoon. It's not immediately falling off. It's starting to solidify. So that means that your soap is ready to go into the molds. Now you can get lots of different molds from Amazon, or there's other soap stores that you can look at. I ordered these a few years ago from Amazon. I also have some amazing bee molds that I unfortunately have misplaced. My basement has eaten them. So hopefully I can find them in the future. But for right now, these are the molds that I'm going to use. And if you don't like using molds like these, you can just get the long straight mold, kind of like a loaf pan mold, and then you end up cutting the soap into the sizes that you want afterwards. But I really like the designs on these molds, so that's why I went with these. So after you get your molds filled, you're going to need to leave them for at least 24 hours so that they can solidify fully before popping them out again. You're also going to need to cure your soap. So once your soap is out of the mold, you need to set them in a nice ventilated dry area so that they can cure for about 3 weeks. So I like to leave mine on a shelf, and I'll kind of turn them over every couple of days so that they can cure on each side. If they don't cure properly, they can sometimes turn a bit of an orange color. I still use them. They're just not as pretty, but you also don't want to use them before the curing date, because then the lye is just a little harsh on the skin. So as it cures over that 3-week period, the lye settles in and it isn't as harsh, and then it gets to be more soapy instead of like a harsh soap. So that 3-week period is pretty important so that you don't hurt your skin with this newly made soap. All right, so I've got my molds filled. I'm just going to bring them together, and I am going to cover them with a piece of cardboard. It keeps your soap from getting any dust or dog hair or things like that in it. So you're just going to protect your soap, and I'm going to leave that on there overnight. So the next day I pop my soaps out, and they are absolutely gorgeous. I love how they turn out. I always do. These soaps are amazing for personal use, or even if you want to give as gifts. If you're interested in seeing more like this, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.